Hey everyone, we are really excited. We are joining another week of Line Desk Live. As we have you guys joining in live today, I have Justin Brennan. He is based out of La Jolla, California, so right next door to us here in Carlsbad. And he is going to dive in with you guys today. He is a real estate investor, a realtor investor that will go over with you guys how you can plan an exit strategy from sales. So I'm really excited on this topic. How are you, Justin?
Hello. Thank you. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing well too.
Yes. But before we dive into a couple questions I want to ask you, let us know a little bit about yourself. Like how long you've been in the industry, if you stayed here in California, just so that we know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, born and raised in San Diego. It seems like it's a rarity these days, but didn't really start in the real estate realtor business. It's been about 10 years now full time, but I really came up in the development side of it, from construction and new construction of multifamily condos and townhomes and apartment buildings. So kind of share both those sides of it, but all based here in San Diego.
Nice. So I do have a couple questions for you. The first one is, what are your top 3 daily to-do things that get you started for the week, for yourself and your team? Because I know you have like an investment business. So what is it that you guys do?
Well, I'm always waking up around 5:30 in the morning, and the alarm, Alexa's got me going. It starts right around 5:15 with like a light alarm. And then by 5:30, I'm typically up. Peloton, working out, meditation in the morning are the first 3 things, and then a nice cup of coffee. I mean, it's pretty much Peloton, meditation, coffee. And those are the first 3 things I'll do. I try very hard not to touch my phone or look at my phone for the first hour of the day. It's hard, but I'm still learning how to not do that.
So you're a Peloton fan too.
Because of quarantine, everybody, had to change their methods, gym shutting down, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I was like, man, I got to do something here. So I clearly am now an addict, and I'm on it 3 to 5 days a week and love it. 20-minute rides. So I can pretty much 20-minute ride, 10-minute meditation. So within 30 minutes, I got most of the workout done stuff. And then you can do push-ups, sit-ups, or go to the gym and do weights since they're opening back up.
Yeah, I know. That's good. That's awesome. Now, the second question is, what is your advice on following up with your clients? Do you have a certain system in place that you guys have right now?
Yeah, so obviously we use our CRM, but in terms of what we do to follow up with clients, the key to anything is providing valuable information and not being a salesperson, right? And I always tell people, don't be a realtor. Just be a resourceful person. You're almost like changing the gauge of how people interact with you. So rather than you going out and having to sell yourself and sell what you do and try and create that lead, it's almost like you're putting so much resourceful, valuable information out there on content that it's almost like an attractor. It's a magnet, and people will find themselves to you, both sphere of influence, database, as well as new leads. So providing resourceful information, don't really need to ask for the sale, but just do it kindly, right? And you can remind people what you do for a living, and then ask them who they know, not do they know or how they know, but who do you know who's looking to do something in real estate in the next 12 months? And can I be a resource to them? And don't be afraid to ask that, because everybody, 100% of people know at least 1 or 2 people that are going to do something in real estate in the next 12 months, guaranteed. And so it's a matter of asking that question and just staying top of mind, because they may not know right now, but in 3 months, they're like, oh yeah, I know somebody because of Justin or whomever it is. They're like, yeah, let me refer you off to this person. Happens all the time. But you got to remember to ask that question. Who do you know that's going to do something in the next 12 months? And keep it finite and simple.
That's very true. I constantly hear that from agents. It's the ones that are, ahead of the game, ahead of their competitors, that are reaching those sales goals are the ones that are saying, I'm constantly staying top of mind, because you never know when that question might pop. They could be at the grocery store. They might run into somebody. And at that moment, you want it to be you. You want them to speak and call you, not somebody else.
Yeah, because you got to keep in mind, at least in San Diego, right, we're at, there's 24,000 realtors in the county.
Wow.
Okay, a lot. Your friends that they're good friends of yours, trust me, they are not going to call you to sell their home. I mean, you get lucky, you get a call here or there, and they know 4 or 5 other realtors. So trust me, you're not the only one. And if you think that you're something special, maybe you are, but You got to act as if you're not, and make sure that you're always following up, staying top of mind, asking the question, and doing it in a polite, kind way. Hey, John, who do you know that's like, as you're talking about personal stuff, by the way, hey, who do you know in the next 12 months that maybe he's looking to do something in real estate that I can help out? Simple question, not specific to them, and you're pulling the sale away, right? And that's key.
Very true. And then how has your CRM helped you stay top of mind? Do you guys do a lot of emailing? Do you guys do texting? What is your dominant feature that you guys do to reach out to your clientele?
Video, and more video, and then more video. So we use our CRM connects with BombBomb. So we use that for a lot of video that goes through the email systems as well as the text messaging. And then, we can do one-offs. We do voicemail drops direct to voicemail, because sometimes you don't want to bother somebody, but you want to kind of stay top of mind. You can drop them a voice drop and it just says, hey, it's Justin Brennan touching base with you. Hope you're doing well. If you're looking to do anything or know anybody, who do you know that's looking to do anything in the next 12 months? So we'll drop on them in kind of multiple ways. But the emails, the manual tasking is critical too, because the system will manually task us to, hey, follow up. It's been 30 days. As well as do the automated stuff that we all can drip on people through drip emails, drip text, drip this, drip that. That's all fine and dandy, but sometimes having that personal connection with your database and having a manual reminder, just touch base on them. And that comes in different formats. It can come in the format of a digital message on the social media platforms. It can come in the way of a text message. It can become a voicemail drop right to their cell phone, right? There's different ways to do it that isn't specifically picking up the phone and having a long conversation with somebody, because everybody's busy, but you just want to make sure they hear your voice and they know who you are and you're top of mind, and you remind them kindly over and over and over again.
Very true. Yeah, you guys, I'm always reminding you guys, video gives you 98% open rate, which is huge. Email, of course, a lot of people do like email. Some people like text messages, but video allows that personal touch, like Justin mentioned, that especially nowadays where you're not seeing them constantly face to face, that gives you that personal touch that a lot of the clientele prefer.
So many ways to connect with the clients.
Yeah, so many. Exactly. So I know everybody's waiting. They want to know this exit strategy. I appreciate you giving me the couple minutes just to chat with you and interview a little bit and more, how you use your CRM and how you, succeed. So I'm going to jump off. You guys bring all your questions, because at the end, Justin will go over and we'll try to answer as many as we can before we hop off today. So I'm going to hop off and let Justin take over so that you guys can learn that exit strategy. Okay, guys?
All right. Appreciate that, Jessica. So for me, I never wanted to be a realtor, to be quite honest with you. It was never in my wake up and be like, yay, get to go deal with buyers and sellers and all of that. But having said that, growing up in the development and construction business, and through the financial crisis of 08 through 09, found my way into the realtor space, really doing a lot of short sales, because I went from the development business into being an asset manager for a lot of the major banking institutions, handling their REOs nationwide. And we were doing thousands and thousands of bank-owned foreclosures every single month. It was incredible. So I handled that for 2 years before I started to see that shift into the realtor space, dealing with short sales. And using my broker's license at that time, I said, what a great way to help families and people going through a real difficult financial time, through pretty much 2010 through 2012, where we had a lot of short sales before things became more traditional. And that was my entry into the realtor space. It was really as a short sale specialist. I came direct from the bank. So who better to handle people's difficult times, because everybody's trying to figure out the short sales. I knew exactly how they work because I came from the bank and was dealing with them, both on the foreclosure side as well as the short sales. So I knew exactly how to position the clients and help them through the short sales. And we did an enormous amount of the short sales with our team back in 2010 through 2012. And then it, migrated into the traditional business where we're at today. But I always knew I wanted to make sure that I had an exit strategy. And not a lot of what I found just talking with all my friends who are realtors and everybody in the business who are realtors, and whether you're a realtor or not, maybe you're in the loan business, maybe you're in other businesses, people don't plan for the exit strategy. And I don't know if you've ever followed Robert Kiyosaki. He has it's called the cash flow quadrant, right? If you're not familiar with it, you can Google it, you can YouTube it, watch all about it. But there's really 4 quadrants. of income in the world, and you're in one of those, or maybe a couple of them. And that's the E, right, as an employee, the S as self-employed, right, realtor, person that you're at. You're a B, or it's a business owner, or you're an I, which is an investor. You're one of those four, or a combination of them. Most people, at least in our industry right now, if you're watching this, you're either an employee, an E, where you are working for a company, getting a paycheck, and you're W-2. Or you're self-employed, which is a sole proprietor, self-employed realtor, loan officer, whoever it may be, and you're getting a paycheck there, but you essentially own a job versus having a job. All the money, all the passive income, any of that stuff is in one of the B or the I quadrants. So ultimately, that's where you want to be. You're never going to retire, truly have the freedom and the retirement, the passive income, if you're simply sitting in the E or the S quadrants. It's never going to happen. You're basically going to have a job or own a job until the day that you're dead. And I knew this and I've known this. So my whole process for being a realtor is really to use it as a catalyst to buy income properties and run a multifamily business, and then also be an investor. So that way that passive income starts to build again, and then at some point overtakes the income I'm generating as a realtor. Because the passive income is where it's at. That's where you have the retirement, the freedom, the decisions, the choices every single day to wake up and either go work for somebody else or go on the beach and spend time with your kids or travel and have experiences and all these things. But it doesn't happen by accident, and it's not just going to show up. So you have to be in the B or the I quadrants in order for that to happen truly, before you're 70 years old, right? Where everybody typically retires in their late 60s and 70s. You can do that a lot faster and accelerate that into the 50s. By getting into the B or the I quadrant sooner rather than later. So that's my whole goal. When you talk about exit strategy and how you do it, use your real estate license as the catalyst to buy rental income properties so that you can get the hell out. I mean, that's in its simplest form, because that's what I've set up. And I've been, double grinding it. I don't know if you guys follow Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, but he always says, man, you got your primary day job, and if you want to go to the next level and get to that passive income, you better get ready for your side hustle. And that side hustle starts at 8 p.m. at night, and it may go till 1 a.m. in the morning. And you're going to have to do that for a while until you get to a point where that overtakes itself, right? And you can start stepping back from that 9 to 5 and making the other one that's your passion a primary. But you're not just going to be able to do it by accident. It just doesn't happen. You're not going to be able to hope and pray that away and just have it show up. You have to plan. You have to set the exit strategy. So I think that's critically important. I mean, I don't know, Jessica, if you had any specific questions that are kind of coming to the top of your mind, but that's really what you need to do. And there's ways to do it. Specifically, it just kind of depends on where you're at and which quadrant you're in and what you're trying to do. But the way I did it specifically was in 2009. I'm sitting at a Tom Ferry conference in Anaheim, California, and trying to figure this out, right? Because we're all going through a very difficult time. And he comes out on stage. I'll never forget this. I've actually talked to Tom Ferry about this, because he's like, you remember that? And I'm like, yeah, man. I said, you essentially, lit a light bulb off in me, which triggered everything else. And he came out on stage and he said, Justin, or he was talking to the audience, all the 5,000 people in the audience. He comes out and he says, hey, who in this auditorium would like to own rental income property? All the realtors' hands, everybody's hands go up. They're like, yeah, I'd love to own rental income property. And he's like, great, great, great. So who here in this room can financially afford rental income property? And like 95% of the hands go down. And he says, guys, you're missing the entire secret. And everybody's like, what do you mean? He says, you don't need to have a single dime to own rental income property. You just need to have friends that have the money to own rental income property. Because you essentially right now, if you don't have the financial capacity to sign on loans or the capital to put for down payments or whatever it may be, you need to find somebody who does. And then you're the sweat equity. You have the real estate license. You have the capabilities to find deals, underwrite deals, manage them, manage the companies, property manage, all these assets that you have of value behind the scenes to run a company and make things happen. And so at that time, and this is one of the questions came in, what types of real estate exit strategy suggestion? Multifamily. You can start with 2 to 4 unit properties and then go into where we're at now, where we're going after 80 plus unit, 100 unit complexes outside California. but it starts with one. Our first rental property was a $100,000 condo in Murrieta, California in 2010. Right. And then a few years later, we turned that around and made it 3 times, our money. So 300 grand and $100,000 first condo,
video.
$25,000. What's that?
A video on YouTube, I think, where it goes over this story. And I live in Temecula. When I saw that, I was like, really, out of all places, Murrieta, California, who would have thought that?
Who would have thought that? But no, that's where it started. That was our first rental income property. It was a $100,000 condo. And then it turned into a 2-unit, then a 4-unit, then another 3-unit, then a 4-unit. And then we started selling a few of those, had capital, and then we started going out of state. And now 2 years ago, we bought a 30-unit and then another 50-unit and then another 30-unit. And then now we're kind of graduating into the next level. And now we're into the 80 plus 100-unit spaces. And so, but you got to start somewhere. You have to start small, even if it's one property. I don't care what you do. You just got to start with one. Just focus on the first one, because once you get through that first one, it's going to give you the confidence to go to the next step.
Now, there was another question, and I don't know if you have some insight on this. Do you have an onboarding process for a new owner? So it almost sounds like if they were to sell their current strategy or what they have together, if they were to do that, do you have an onboarding process?
When you say an onboarding process for a new owner, what kind of owner?
Let's see if they answer. What kind of owner? Let's see if they answer. In the meantime, I'll let you keep talking. If they I'll let you know.
When you say onboarding process for a new owner, I'm curious as to when you say owner of a real estate business, owner of a multifamily business, just so I understand that. But that's how I started. And so Tom Ferry came out and he said, look, you just need to have friends that have the ability to do the financial stuff. Because at that time I could not, but I had the sweat equity. I mean, I had all the knowledge, the background, the expertise, the ability to find the deals, run the company. And I just need to find somebody who was not in the real estate industry who could do what I could do, right? And then I could help them and we could team up. And so hence Christopher Poley, my good friend and graduate student friend, real estate business. Gotcha. You're talking about for new agents that are coming onto the team, or if you're trying to sell a real estate business? So that'll be my question regarding that. Because typically when you're selling a real estate business, it's you would set it up and you're going to get a multiple of 1 times your revenue on your real estate business. That's from a brokerage standpoint. But I'm not interested in really selling. I mean, I'm with EXP now, so we're building all of that out, and then we have downlines and stuff to that. So there's a passive income stream with EXP as well. That's fantastic for the long-term growth there. But really you're sell a business. You answered my question. Perfect. Yeah. So typically it's 1 times multiple on your revenue. So $1 million in GCI, you're going to get $1 million for the company on average, depending on what your expenses and stuff look like. But typically it's 1 times revenue on a real estate brokerage business. So I hope that answers that. But yeah, we started with the 1 condo, met Chris Poley. He's my business partner. And that's why we have the Brennan Poley group. And that started in 2010 when we went out and we bought our first condo. We put in $25,000, right? 25% down on a $100,000 condo, took a loan out with the difference, turned that into 300 grand within a few years. And then we sold it. So, and then we went into, 2 to 4 unit properties and so forth. But it started with that because he could sign on the loans. He could bring in the down payment. I would basically take care of 100% of everything else, find the deals, underwrite the deals, manage the company. I'd throw in my commissions as part of the deal, run all the back end operations, the business, logistics, everything you can fathom. And for that, it's a 50-50 split. And so then we grew it. And now we're at a point where, I can put in my own capital. He puts in his capital. We're kind of bringing things together. But the company's grown from a single condo into well over 100 units that we own currently. And we're moving towards the stage 2, which is 1,000 units. And then once we hit 1,000 units, we're going to go to 10,000. And that's the ultimate kind of, the BHAG, as they call it, the big, hairy, audacious goal is 10,000 units by 2025. Any other questions? But it is about that exit strategy. Do not stay in real estate until you're 70, 75. You will never get out of it. It's a hamster wheel. Okay, it's a transactional hamster wheel. And unless you have passive income designed and setting up and coming through, you're going to do it. Unless maybe that is like a passion for you. And you wake up first thing in the morning, the first thing you think about is driving buyers around and dealing with sellers. Maybe that is the first thing you love, and that's amazing. So that'll drive you because it's your passion, and you can do that till you're 60, 70 years old, not a problem. But if you want to get to the freedom, the financial freedom that everybody talks about, and you want to get to that at an earlier age in your life by about 50, 55, you better start that process of going from the E or the S quadrant over to the B and the I quadrants like yesterday. And if you don't have the capital, you need to find somebody who does have the capital, who can sign on loans, who is not in the real estate business, who cannot do what you can do. Because if they can do what you can do, you add no value, right? So if you add value to them, they add value to you. It's a great marriage, great yin and yang, and you just go for it. But that's how you're going to start that if you don't have the capital to do it yourself. Do you have any tips in my route, which is an investor in the leasing field? So you're currently an investor. Great, by the way. Are you a realtor as well? Question mark. And if you're in the leasing field, being property management, I'm guessing. So you lease properties and then maybe property management as well. My first tip would be, if you want to own rental income properties or own the properties that you're leasing, as I just mentioned, if you don't have the ability, if you don't have the capital for down payments currently, and you do not have the ability to sign on the loans to go buy the properties, you need to find somebody who does and can. And you need to build a friendship, and then you need to add value to them, and they need to add value to you. So maybe they're in the tech field. Perfect example, Christopher Poli. He was a tech guy, right? He was not in real estate. He was in tech. Go find a doctor. Go find an attorney. Go find somebody else outside of real estate who has the ability and can't do what you can do, because you bring the sweat. They bring the capital. You bring the sweat. You bring that together. You're going to basically take care of 100% of everything except, the down payment and signing on the loans in the beginning. And then from there, you grow it, and then you get to a point where you can put in your own capital. You're rolling professional fees in. I rolled all the commissions into all of our deals, so that came in as essentially capital, but it was sweat. And that earned me the 50-50 split that we have today. So I see you're in property management. That's awesome. So you have that background, which is great. So keep up with that. And then I'm presuming you have your real estate license, maybe not, but get that. So I'm a licensed real estate broker. I'm a licensed general contractor. So I have those licenses behind me, which really helps because we're able to save a bunch of money, both from acquisitions and dispositions of assets, but also on the construction side of things, because we can run and manage our own construction and rehab, which is very valuable. We save a bunch of money in knowing how to run that process.
Great. Yeah, it looks like those are most of the questions that we got. If you guys have any other questions, let us know before we hop off. Any other tips or anything that you felt like helped you as you dove into this and putting your plan together?
Have a plan. So my business plan is a lot of people do these, bless Tom Ferry, but he has these multiple page business plans, right? And a lot of companies do these. You need to read the book called The 12-Week Year. Okay. YouTube it, Google it, Amazon it. I just finished it up. It's called The 12-Week Year. It'll be one of the best reads you've ever had in your life. And what it's going to do is it's going to take what we traditionally do and try and plan out a 12-month business plan. And companies are all try and do this. People try and do this. Don't do that. I mean, when you read this book, you'll understand it. And what you're doing is accelerating that urgency, and you're putting it all into a 12-week year. And then essentially you're going to have 12 years in a year. I'm sorry, you're going to have 4 years in a year because it's a quarter. So you're going to have 4 years within a year, really, but it's pretty amazing. So that would be my one tip, is to get that book, read it, understand it, and build out your business plans based on that 12-week year.
Great. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate your time and sharing all this insight. Thank you guys for the questions. I haven't seen anything else come in. So I will be, posting this. It will go live on everywhere. We'll live in our Facebook group and all of our other social media channels. So if you guys want to ever go back to it, and just those two. He did mention, again, the book was The 12-Week Year, which I did show it. And then he also mentioned something to look into, you guys, which I thought was cool, was the Robert, how do you pronounce his last name?
Robert Kiyosaki.
And
a lot of people, it's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? That book, the famous book he wrote, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
But he's all over the place. Just Google him, you'll find him. But he created the cash flow quadrant, right? And so that's the 4 cash flows I mentioned, right? E, S, B, or I.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's critically important. Like when people understand that and you really grasp it, like it'll change you. It really, really will.
Great. So yeah, thank you for those 2 tips. You guys check those out. And if you have any other questions, he is in our group, and I've tagged him in our live today. And I'm sure you can also find him. What's your social media that they can also find you on?
It is Instagram is Justin C. Brennan at Justin C. Brennan. That's probably the best one, the easiest, because from there you can get everything else.
Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you for your time. Thank you, Justin, for your time today. And you guys have a great day.
Thanks so much.